The next section to review is flopping. On this first example, the highlighted defender, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, is defending the dribbler, O'Shea Brissett. But following minimal contact with Brissett, Antetokounmpo launches himself backwards, falling to the floor in an exaggerated and theatrical manner that was inconsistent with the nature of the contact. As the reaction is both exaggerated and theatrical, a flop was correctly called here, and a non-unsportsmanlike technical foul was assessed. On this next example, the highlighted defender, Marcus Smart, is defending the dribbler, Keldon Johnson. There is contact as Johnson drives toward the basket, and Smart launches himself backwards, falling to the floor, while also throwing his arms up in an exaggerated and theatrical manner. A defensive foul was initially called here, but following a successful coach's challenge, the defensive foul call was changed to a no call, and instead, a flopping penalty was correctly assessed to Smart. Please note that while flopping violations cannot be challenged, they can be assessed during a replay review. The final play in this section will show an example of a flopping penalty that was assessed post-game, but should have been called during the game. The highlighted offensive player, LaMelo Ball, is pushed by his opponent, Jaden Ivey. The illegal contact by Ivey is correctly ruled a defensive foul, but as Ball's reaction was exaggerated and was clearly inconsistent with the contact that occurred on the play, a flop also should have been called on this play, and a non-unsportsmanlike technical foul needed to be assessed. Remember, you can have a foul and a flop on the same play. The next point of education to review is transition take fouls. Here, the highlighted defensive player, Cam Thomas, does not make a legitimate attempt at the ball, and instead he effectively gives up on the play by running into the dribbler, Norman Powell. As this illegal contact deprived the offensive team of a transition scoring opportunity, this foul by Thomas was correctly ruled a transition take foul. Now, let's look at an example of a defensive foul that would not be ruled a transition take foul. The highlighted defensive player, Patrick Beverley, makes a legitimate attempt to steal the pass intended for the offensive player, Jamal Murray. And while this is illegal contact, it's also clear that Beverley had not given up on the play, and that he did make a legitimate attempt to play defense. So this was correctly ruled a common foul and not a transition take foul. The bench conduct guidelines include bench players and/or assistant coaches standing in front of their bench for extended periods of time. Here, we will see an example of a team committing this type of violation. Remember, the officials will issue a warning for this type of prolonged standing. Then, if the bench standing occurs again, a delay of game warning will be assessed. And then, if it occurs yet again, a second delay of game would be assessed, which would result in a technical foul. The final example in the bench conduct section will show the highlighted bench player, Emmanuel Quickley, walking out onto the court during live play after the made basket by his teammate. Quickley takes several steps from the bench area, and he moves out onto the floor. The officials correctly assess an immediate, unsportsmanlike technical foul for this violation. Players who are not in the game are not permitted to be on the playing court at any time for any reason. Respect for the game remains a point of education. This first play is an example of a reaction that exceeds the respect for the game guidelines. The highlighted player, Donovan Mitchell, commits an overt gesture by clapping directly at the official in resentment to the no call on this play. This type of overt gesture will be met with a technical foul as it exceeds the respect for the game guidelines, whether it is directed towards an official or not. Another example of actions that exceed the respect for the game guidelines can be seen here. Following the made basket by the opposing team, the highlighted player, DeJounte Murray, forcefully throws the ball against the basket support. Players are not allowed to forcefully throw or kick the ball against the basket support for any reason. Any violation of this rule will result in a technical foul. This final play will show a reaction that does not exceed the respect for the game guidelines. Following the defensive foul call, the highlighted player, Jabari Walker, reacts briefly to the call, but his reaction is not overt and it dissolves almost immediately. As we know, players are allowed to react to calls with which they disagree, provided the reaction is not disrespectful or prolonged. Walker's reaction here is a legal, heat-of-the-moment reaction, and no technical foul was needed nor given. We will conclude the video by showing several examples of players and officials interacting with each other in a positive manner. All the players and officials that can be seen here communicate in a calm and professional manner, and they maintain their composure throughout. It is a continuing goal that our players and officials continue to demonstrate this type of mutual respect toward each other on a nightly basis.